It's time for a little blood.
Amani Berserker, not to be confused with Armani Berserker, is a classic neutral common 2/3 for 2 mana whose card text reads Enrage, plus 3 attack. According to arena value, Amani Berserker is picked 40% of the time in arena overall and 60% of the time as mage. Advocta rates Amani as average in arena, and Trump agrees, also rating him as average, the 42nd best neutral common out of 83. Note that both Trump and Advocta rate Amani higher when offered for mage or warrior. Amani Berserker hasn't shown up in any recent tournament decks to my knowledge. Its most notable inclusion was in the Zoo deck in Nimsh's lineup, which took him to first place at IM Katowice in March of 2014. Amani is a solid card. Not a bad card by any means, but also not really an amazing card either. A 2/3 for 2 is a stat line from which we expect a good effect, and Amani's effect is okay. 5 damage is an important breakpoint in Hearthstone, as a lot of important minions like Sledge Belcher, Emperor Thaurissan, Ancient of Lore, etc. are at 5 health, so having a 2-drop that can make it up to 5 attack is really good. But the problem is that for that to happen, Amani has to survive long enough to face against a 5 health minion with only its meager 3 health, and you have to have a source of self-damage. Mages have self-damage built into their hero power, but at the very least that still requires 2 mana and the loss of an opportunity to ping one of your opponent's minions on one of your turns. Warriors are another class that has good ways to use Amani Berserker, with cheap self-damage spells like Whirlwind and minions like Cruel Taskmaster, as well as Warsong Commander to get immediate value off of Amani's upside. Amani is best when you play him into a board with something that's 1 to 2 attack, so you can enrage him for free, but it's certainly okay to drop him on an empty board. Aldor and Humility change Amani's attack to 1, and it will not go back up if you just damage it again. For the enrage to have its effect reinstated, you have to heal Amani back up to full again, and then damage it again, which is something that takes so many turns it almost never happens. Amani Berserker synergizes with the mage hero power because it's a free source of damage to the Amani. With Akanai Soul Priest or Steamweedle Sniper, you can change your hero power to be able to do self-damage like the mage's hero power to activate Amani Berserker, but obviously this is a lot of setup for relatively little payoff. Minions that can do damage to your own minions synergize somewhat with Amani, so these include Baron Geddon, Dread Infernal, Elven Archer, Ironforge Rifleman, Mad Bomber, Unstable Ghoul, and Wild Pyromancer. The same goes for spells that can damage your own minion, and these include Moonfire, Mortal Coil, Revenge, Shiv, Slam, Whirlwind, and Wrath. Commanding Shout can let Amani activate his Enrage effect without dying. Cruel Taskmaster can proc Amani's Enrage and take him all the way up to 7 attack. The same is true for Inner Rage. Death Spike can proc Amani when it runs out of durability or is replaced. Warsong Commander gives Amani charge even if it becomes enraged. At least it does for now. Warsong is notorious for having bugs and mercurial rules about how it interacts with other minions. Amani has some anti-synergies with things that might inadvertently heal it back to full and make it lose its enrage effect, like Shaman's Healing Totem, or Darkscale Healer, or Lightwell. It also has some anti-synergy, I suppose, with Tree of Life, as that will heal Amani back to full health. And lastly, Wailing Soul, as always, has anti-synergy with pretty much any card that has card text. As mentioned earlier, Aldor Peacekeeper and Humility gimp Amani all but permanently when they're used against it. Cabal Shadow Priest and Shadow Madness can steal Amani in its undamaged form. Note that priests are a class that have the ability to heal minions, so they can take an enraged Amani and heal it back to full health to make it not enraged anymore, and then be able to use Cabal Shadow Priest to steal it. And then of course Kodo counters Amani somewhat because it's a 2-attack minion, and Kodo's good against all 2-attack minions. Amani is good against Explosive Trap because Explosive Trap will buff Amani in the process of attacking the hunter. So if you have a unenraged Amani with only 2 attack and you attack the hunter, you'll actually do 5 damage that turn. Amani's also good against things that do random damage like Knife Juggler or Goblin Blast Mage because your enemy is not going to want to inadvertently enrage Amani, and there's no way they can guarantee that they won't with random damage like that. And also, area of effect spells that don't normally do 3 damage, like Consecrate and Holy Nova, aren't very good against Amani, because they may take out the rest of the board, but they'll leave behind a 5 attack minion, which is really dangerous. Amani Berserker isn't in any top tier decks currently, but it is a good solid common card that you can throw into some budget decks if you don't have all the cards that you need for the top tier decks. So that's sort of what I'm going to try and demonstrate here. I've moved over to my Europe account where I don't have as many cards. And I'm going to just use what I have to try and build a good starter kind of deck. So I've decided to go with Zoo. Amani Berserker is okay in Zoo, and at one point in time, before a lot of the other more powerful minions came out in expansions, Amani Berserker was actually used in tournament Zoo decks. So we're going to try it out. First we'll look at the Warlock class cards that we have. Flame Imp is a definite. Voidwalker is a definite. Mortal Coils are pretty good, especially at the lower ranks. So people like to run aggro at lower ranks. Real face aggro with like 1 health creatures like Leper Gnome and Wolf Rider, and Mortal Coil is a good counter to that. I'm gonna throw in a Soulfire. Since it got nerfed, it's not as good, but we do need to fill out our deck with okay cards, and Soulfire is an okay card now. Dark Bomb, I'd probably put 2 Dark Bombs and 0 Soulfires in if I could, but I only have 1 Dark Bomb available. So 1 Dark Bomb. Implosion, I would definitely put 2 Implosions in if I had them, but I only have 1. Hellfire, I'm going to put 1 Hellfire in. Hellfire is kind of antithetical to Zoo in that you want your board to be full of little things, and Hellfire does 3 damage to your little things and their little things. But it is kind of like, if you're facing a lot of Zoo mirrors, it's kind of good in the Zoo mirror, because if you start losing, you have like a panic button. Anyway, that's pretty much all for the Warlock class cards, I think. So we'll move on to the neutrals. Abusive Sergeant is a definite. We got to put our Armanis in there. Direwolf's a definite. I'd put 2 in if I had them. Young Priestess is pretty good in Zoo. We'll put that in. I only have 1. It's a rare. Let's see. We'll put an Owl in, just so we can get past big taunts sometimes. Haunted Creeper I have because when they were doing the free Nax promotion where you could do the first swing of Nax for free, I went over to Europe and made sure I did that while it was available. So I have Haunted Creeper, which is good. It's a great Zoo card. Same goes for Nerubian Egg. Scarlet Crusader is pretty good in Zoo. Shattered Sun Cleric is pretty great in Zoo, actually. Dark Iron Dwarf is good in Zoo. Chillwind Yeti is not that great in Zoo, but we don't have many better options. Let's see what else we can put in here. I don't really want to go up to 5 mana. If I were going to do 5 mana stuff, it would be a Doomguard, but I don't have any. Noyotron's pretty solid. We're not building a mech themed deck, but still a Noyotron can block incoming damage and stuff like that and really mess up their trades, and trades are sort of what you rely on with Zoo, dictating trades and stuff. And we need 2 more. Okay, Elven Archer looks good because, like I said before with Mortal Coil, dealing 1 damage is kind of better at lower ranks, I would say, because they tend to run weaker minions like Wolf Rider and stuff. And Elven Archer is like almost even better than Mortal Coil for that, because it kills one of their 1 health creatures and puts a 1/1 body on board that can kill their next 1/1 creature. So here's a budget Zoo deck. Obviously not something I would expect you to run if you're trying to get high legend or something like that. But from like rank 20 to rank 10 or so maybe, I think this should be a pretty solid deck. So let's take it into ranked and see how it does. Alright, so we're against the Shaman. Shaman typically is sort of 50-50 against Zoo-like decks. It really comes down to if they get their Lightning Storm on time, I would say. So we're going to keep the Flame Imp. We could have also kept the Abusive Sergeant, but we're going first, so it's not like we can do Flame Imp, coin another 1-drop. Plus, Abusive Sergeant is kind of a weak 1-drop to be playing, not for its battle cry, just for its body. But we're definitely going to keep the Flame Imp. And it's the obvious turn 1 play here. Turn 2, we're probably going to be tapping unless we draw into a 2-drop. But then turn 3 should hopefully be pretty strong because we have 2 options for 3 drops. Coins out a Micro Machine. That's a little annoying, actually. We're probably going to have to trade into it because you don't want to let Micro Machines get out of control. It is still trading a 1-drop for a 2-drop, even though it looks bad trading a 3-2 into a 2-2. It is actually a strong play for us. Whirling Zap-O-Matic. So this is definitely Mech Shaman. Mech Shaman's pretty good against Zoo, actually. But we'll see what we can do. So I'm going to drop the Scarlet Crusader over the Shattered Sun here, obviously because Shattered Sun doesn't have anything on board we can buff. And Scarlet Crusader's really good against the 3-2 that's on the board because it can take it out and still have a body left on the board. But it is weak to Earthshock. So usually Mech Shamans run 1 or 2 Earthshocks, so I guess there was some consideration to running out the Shattered Sun to play around Earthshock, but that in turn would not be playing around Power Mace or something, so overall I think the Scar Crusader was a clear choice here. And he just floods the boards with mechs now, so this is actually pretty scary. We definitely need to prioritize taking out the Zap-O-Matic here. And then it is turn 4, so we have enough mana for the Implosion. And I'm going to actually implode the Cogmaster and attack the Zap-O-Matic. The other option there, which may actually have been better, was to implode the Zap-O-Matic and then attack into the Mech Warper. But he doesn't have much cards left in the hand, so it may actually be that the 3-2 is more threatening than the 2-3. Because he's not going to get much mana ramp out of the Mech Warper, since he doesn't have any cards left in hand, but I don't know. That was kind of iffy. I think maybe I just misplayed and I should have Implosion the Zap-O-Matic and attack Scarlet Crusader into the Mech Warper. But anyways, here we're looking at, trading into the Mech Warper. And then we can use our Elven Archer, and that leaves us enough mana left to take out one of the totems with the buff from the Shattered Sun, and then go face with the remaining damage. So we went from a pretty bad board position to a good implosion roll that led us into being back in control as far as board goes. We are still at a lower life total than he is, which can be a big deal against Shaman because they have a lot of burn. Mech Shaman runs like the Lava Burst and Crackle and stuff, so they can kill you from healths that you really wouldn't expect it to. He's got a Raid Leader in this deck. It's actually fairly okay here. Lets him proc his egg. So we pick up a Hellfire. That's an interesting choice, but our boards are so even, I don't think it's really worth it. Looks like we can use the Shattered Sun here to completely clear the board. And if we Shattered Sun, that'll leave us mana to throw out the Scarlet Crusader. And that is what we do. So once again, we end the turn with our board being bigger than his board, which is basically your objective as Zoo. Matter Bomber. That's pretty cool. And he gets really good hits with it. Doesn't hit himself once. And takes out all our minions. So that's pretty scary. Hellfire doesn't kill it here, so basically our options are to throw out all of our minions. So obviously it's going to be a Yeti, and then it's between Haunted Creeper and Annoyotron. I kind of want to save the Annoyotron for when I need to prevent lethal damage or prevent a really good trade or something like that. At this point, I don't really mind if he attacks our face with the Matter Bomber, or if he attacks Yeti with Matter Bomber, it's fine. Although a Noitron would be pretty good because it would sort of negate his 5 damage, which would be pretty good. Oh, he's going to time rewinder it. It's pretty crazy. But he's not going to use it this time. So again, we pretty much want to prioritize killing the Zaphomatic. I tapped there. Looks pretty dangerous, but he only has 2 cards in hand, and we know one is Matter Bomber, so he can't have that much burst. And I don't feel we're going to win this game without tapping anymore. So we continue to grow our board. We got our Armani out there, so we can take out, you know, Matter Bomber's kind of risky for him now because it could enrage the Amani. And there it goes. Yep, and it enraged it without killing it. So our 2-drop is to be able to take out his 5-drop. And again, we have to think about if we feel okay with tapping. It's getting more and more scary every time, but I still think we have to do it. We're dead to like a spell damage Lava Burst or a lucky Crackle, but you gotta take risks. You gotta play to win. So we run our Armani in. We get that good trade enabled by the enraged mechanic that Amani has. And we can't kill the Harvest Golem, but we do want to play the Owl because we basically just got to play out our minions. We can't hold back for situational opportunities to play cards. We just gotta play our cards now because we're dead really soon. So we just silence the Harvest Golem and then go face because we can't kill the Harvest Golem. And we're gonna tap again, man. You gotta take risks. Dark Iron's a really good pickup. We can proc our Nerubian Egg and go face. Sometimes against Shaman you want to keep your Nerubian Egg laying around without being cracked open, so that it'll crack open whenever they use Lightning Storm. But these kinds of aggressive mech shamans don't normally run Lightning Storm, so you actually want to crack it open as soon as possible. And we're slowly working towards a win here, baby. Our board's growing bigger and bigger. Eventually we will be able to put lethal damage on board. So here, I think, is the point where it is just way too unsafe to tap anymore. And, you know, we're going to draw the card next turn anyway. So it's not like we're losing an opportunity cost when we don't tap here because we can't tap. We don't have any healing in our deck, so max we only have one more tap opportunity left this game anyway. And so I just clear the board, use the Dark Bomb on the Flame Tongue, and go face. And we're actually presenting lethal damage on board here, so if he doesn't have a taunt or a heal or removal, we win. And we won. Back from the brink. So we looked pretty dead there for a lot of turns, but we were able to pull it out. And Amani did actually play a part in that. It's a good counter to Matter Bomber, it turns out, which is kind of funny.
Who you want me kill?